All right. Hello, everyone. Sorry for the delay. Some things decided to update right before I pressed go live. So, let me know you can see me and hear me okay. I think last time my mic was off. It seems to be on. It seems like we're working. All right, Laravel.com. Test. Okay, cool. Yeah, we're getting some feed. Okay, so today I'm gonna launch a little side project that I've been working on. I don't think I've live streamed in the last couple weeks. That first week, or the last week in May, I think the girls were off school heading into camp, so that was just a busy week. No way to squeeze in a live stream. And then again, last week, I was heads down on this project, and I thought about like jumping on and live streaming, building some of it, but like I was really like in like learn mode. I'll demo what the site is here in a couple minutes, but let me catch everybody up kind of what's working. The side project is not code related, it's not tech related, it's kind of like a secondary passion of mine. And I was kind of like, over the last few months, I was really like envisioning this tool. I found myself working and talking with AI a lot about things, and I just kind of was like, I'm prompting and reprompting and asking these same questions over and over again for like all these different things, and or kind of all my different use cases. And finally I was just like, I'm just gonna build a little site that has all this kind of intelligence, and I'm able to just kind of like plug in a couple things to it and have it work. And along the way, what it allowed me to do was use AI a lot more. I have been already, but this was probably the first project that was close to like a vibe code, right? Where like it really just built everything. Everything I kind of built was in Claude Code, to be honest. I mean, I really didn't write a lot of code in the IDE. I had the IDE open to tweak some things and do some things every now and then, or small refactors, but to that point, I was using the base code skill a lot. Maybe we can run that at the end of this. That would be fun. And then also, Adam Wathan gave me early access to UI.sh, and that was awesome too. And I think that was the real kicker, honestly, for me. I've built a lot of things in Claude Code over a lot of little projects, over the last 3 months. This is probably the first one I'm launching, and I honestly attribute that to the fact that UI.sh really nailed the design. Like Taylor Otwell, I tend to get into the code and I kind of build it and I don't worry about what it looks like, and I kind of do like the hard things first. But what'll end up happening is I kind of build it and then I lose a little momentum because I really slow down on design. And, I want it to look good. I think we all have a vision of what we want, the site or the product or the app or whatever to look like. And when you're not getting it there, you're not comfortable. You're not going to be comfortable launching, right? So anyway, let's get into the launching of it so I can talk more specific about it. Again, I'm not trying to make a big reveal here. I'm just letting you know kind of what I was working on, and we'll get into like the more technical bits behind the scenes here in a minute. In an effort not to I'm always gonna leak stuff on my streams. In an effort not to leak too much, I'm gonna deploy things from my MacBook here, and I actually have to deploy from my MacBook because it's the only thing that has keys, the SSH keys to the various servers. So just, little added security there. To that point, I'm just going to piggyback Shift's infrastructure for now. I thought about deploying this to Laravel Cloud, and I would, but I don't really want to like learn another new platform live. Not to say that Laravel Cloud is hard, but I do think that they have a very specific way that the infrastructure works, and because I need like queues and cache and all these things for the site, I think there's just a lot of moving parts. Another thing I noticed in helping Eric Barnes cache with Laravel News, he's on Laravel Cloud, is they do have an edge cache offering, which is like super cool. But what I found is, since I'm already using Cloudflare directly and have a lot of things set up there can be a little competition between the two, and it's kind of like an early offering in my opinion. They need some more hooks to really be able to like edge cache effectively. Not effectively, but to manage your edge cache effectively. Because if you don't, then you may as well just not even be caching, because you're just like purging your cache on every deploy, which is dumb because you're just blowing away your cache for no reason. So anyway, I'm just going to piggyback Shift's infrastructure for now, again, because it's easy for me to kind of deploy and do that. Everything's already there. And the minute this gets if it ever gets any traction or usage, maybe a future stream will kind of migrate to Laravel Cloud. So to that point, let me make sure everything's up over here. So yeah, so basically the deployment, I'm going to let this run. It's basically deploying onto Shift's infrastructure. Again, it's pretty old school deploy. Shift really predates, like the thing to understand, sometimes you might see these streams and be like, why are you doing it that way? You have to remember that Shift is like my primary thing, and it was built 10 years ago. 10 years ago, Forge barely almost 11 years ago now. Forge barely existed 11 years ago. I mean, Laravel barely existed 11 years ago. I think 4.2 was just released. So all these things that we have now, Laravel Cloud and this AI SDK and Spark and Nova and Livewire, all these things, none of that existed when I first built Shift. Queues barely existed, I think, when I first built Shift. So a lot of the stuff that I did, even down to like the server architecture, all that I had to do on my own because it kind of didn't exist at the time. I typically like front ran Laravel by like 6 months. I remember I built the Shift, order flow and stuff, and Taylor had talked about Spark, but it wasn't released yet. And it didn't do one-off payments. So he was like, oh, I'll just use Stripe directly. Because again, Cashier didn't exist. So just chatting while this is deploying in the background here. But yeah, anyway, so we're going to deploy to the web server. We're going to piggyback Shift's web server, and then I need to be on one of the queues. Shift has 2 dedicated queue workers, and then it spins up the rest dynamically. I don't need dynamic workers for this at this time. Again, it has 0 usage, like no one even knows about it yet. But once it gets, if it gets some traction, hopefully once it gets some traction, I can push that up to cloud and have it used. It's managed, dedicated queues. But again, I have the infrastructure now that's sitting idle at times. And again, with no usage, I'm okay piggybacking Shift's infrastructure at this time. So that looks like it deployed. Let's go, without further ado, let's go check out the site. So this is called retrajectory.com. Yes, it loads. Wonderful. Okay, cool. I'm like super large screen right now for purposes. I'm gonna like tweak this down. This is probably what the design you would see if you weren't on like, a 1080p for streaming screen size. So again, built with UI.sh. Like I did, other than like some content here and a little bit of messing with the animation in the background, like I did nothing here. Like I really feel like UI.sh like just one-shotted this design. It was pretty cool. I gave it, some things, told it kind of what it was. Oh, it deals with retirement and finance and whatever. So let's get into it, a little bit specifics of the projects. So here's the thing. I'm getting older, right? I'm getting older. My wife's getting older. We have kids now. And over the last several months, I've always been focused on investment. I think some people probably know that. That's kind of like a second or third hobby of mine, is investing. And I'm pretty aggressive with like my personal investing, but my retirement is very conservative, very, very vanilla. And so what I've been doing as I've been getting older is kind of going in and checking in on these retirement accounts. And what I found was that ChatGPT or Claude or whatever I was using to kind of cross-check, cross-reference, get multiple opinions, I kind of was giving it like the same prompt. I was uploading a screenshot of like the current allocations, and really just kind of like that was like basically what I would do, and then I would kind of have a conversation with it afterward about what it kind of assessed. And so basically I built this initially for myself, but then once I kind of got this UI.sh, landing page, I thought, well, this is kind of nice because here's the thing about retirement calculators. Let's go look. We'll get it. We'll put the product hat on for a second. So retirement calculator. So if you go look, there's obviously going to be like tons of these things out here. I'm not necessarily trying to compete with those, but here's what I am kind of working with. So let's just look at like the top 3 here, right? So NerdWallet, obviously, big one. You know, similar thing here. They ask what, 3, so about 6 questions. It's pretty techy, right? It's pretty techy. There's not a lot of like conversation here, right? I don't even know. Were these pre-plugged in? Yeah, I didn't even fill these in. So like it's kind of pre-plugged in. Like that's a little confusing in my mind. If we look at some other ones, like same thing, 7 or 8 fields. You get some crazy ones here with like, I think if we go back, I mean, you'll get some crazy ones here with like 20 or 30 fields. They're also very like ad ridden or not very focused. Like look at all the information on this page. Like I kind of just, this one's okay. And it's the top result in fairness. It's okay. But the point is some of these just like really get to be, I mean, look at this thing. Like how much information, you got ads. I mean, they're outdated, right? And so I just thought with like AI and other stuff now, with really answering, honestly, in my opinion, just a couple questions, you can really get like some cool analysis from AI. So I think that was pretty cool. Or this again, this is kind of something I've been messing with. So to that point, let's go ahead and so let's plug in some data here, right? So again, I'm getting older. I'm 44 now, believe that or not. Okay, my current retirement balance. Now, here's the thing, and here's why I've been doing this a lot of times. You know, when I used to have a job, I had like some rollover IRAs. Some of this terminology might be specific to the US, but I think globally, you know, people save for retirement. Some of the terms here, again, 401ks and all that stuff, that might be US specific. But anyway, I have like a retirement account that was left over from like an old job, again, like 12 years ago. I have my personal one that I save for and contribute to. I have one through the current, you know, business, Pure Concepts, you know, from Shift and all that stuff. My wife has the same thing. She has 3. We have retirement things that we're trying to build for the children. Maybe we'll use one of those as an example. So, I mean, if I really look through all of it, you know, I've got like 8 different retirement you know, accounts floating out there between the family. So again, that's where I was like kind of doing this a lot, and the idea was kind of just like let's plug this in. So let's say we've got 250,000. Our target, what is that? 10 million. That might be a bit aggressive. Let's say 5 million. Again, crazy numbers here, and I contribute whatever the IRS allows. I think it's 25,000 per year as a solo employee kind of thing. So again, very US based here, but let's run the numbers. Well, first let's see if this works. Okay, great, it ran the numbers. Okay, so again, UI.sh, nailed it. We've got some graphs here, I think from chart.js. So basically it says here's how it looks over the next 25 years. It models stuff out. We can kind of check these returns. So again, much more clean, I think, than the other several we looked at. I mean, this, again, doesn't really fit on one page. What am I looking at here? I think the conversational aspect of, ooh, I gotta fix that fave icon. Look, it's still there, Bell. So again, I think the conversational aspect of this is already, for me, it was much more fun, right? So once you have this, you know, it kind of gives you some information, and based on that, so the AI portion or the upsell starts to become where like you can analyze your actual kind of portfolio. So we could drop in a screenshot here, and I'll go into the code and kind of look at this, I think, instead, because of course we would have to upload kind of something specific here. So again, don't necessarily want to leak a lot of data right now, but switching gears to kind of the technical aspects of this. So basically this uses 2 AI agents. So what's gonna happen on this first one is you'll drop in the screenshot, and the first one's really just kind of like OCR. It's just gonna take the image. It has, you know, instructions. We can go look at that, I think. So let's go look. All right, so we got the push, we pushed it out. Okay, we're talking about the quick demo. I wanna do the fast Laravel stuff. I think there was something else I wanted to do too, but let's go look at analyze screenshot at least. So there's 2 agents, as you can see here, analyze screenshot and then analyze portfolio. So So I'm using Anthropic. I think the last model, Haiku or whatever. So basically it says, you know, you're a text to image assistant, and then it gives us like this kind of breakdown of the broker, the balance, the cache, and then the positions broken into each item. So the goal of this is to be able to upload the screenshot of your positions, which is a pretty easy task to do instead of typing all of those in. And it's going to extract that into text that I can then give to the next AI agent. And then the next AI agent would basically perform the actual assessment. I may do that in the background here in a minute, but again, some of this stuff's theoretical, right? I could plug in like my daughter's account, which is a you know, we could fake it for my daughter's account. I think it's much more manageable numbers. But again, like the trajectory and stuff here, it's all kind of based in right away. It's basically the calculator you would get from these more or less, but it's doing it in like, I think it's doing it in a better way as far as like, here are the scenarios in which you might achieve, you know, your target. And that is pretty nuts. Like 250K now is a lot of money, but like in 21 years, that could be almost $10 million. I mean, again, this is aggressive, but even on a conservative 7% return, I mean, you're 10xing that money. Like I find that fascinating. I don't know. I think that's the compounding of all that's pretty nuts. So again, does all that kind of for you, the trajectory mapping and so forth. But if you wanted to, you could actually upload your actual portfolio, and then AI would give you an assessment based on that and kind of this customized prompt that I've been working on for the last few months. So maybe we'll see that here in action in a second. I think what I'd like to do is finish this out. Let's go back to the home page. And I think the other thing on the list that I really wanted to do was actually make sure that this is, well, first of all, we got some console issues. Okay, nope, that's old. Let's go to network, docs. Let me hit refresh. We got a 200. So we're getting a dynamic here, right? CF cache status. What's debugger? Build assets. Why'd I get kicked over here? Oh, the challenge. Okay, yeah. So that's another thing. So right now I am with Cloudflare, but I'm getting dynamic, which means it's not being cached. So I want to employ like the fast Laravel bit here because again, I'm piggybacking Shift's infrastructure. So in the off chance this landing page obviously is what you're going to hit. So as this gets to be crawled, I don't want to create a drag on the web server. So this most common page, I want to make sure to cache because otherwise you'd have to like fill this out and you'd have to beat like the turnstile. It's got turnstile built into this. So I dropped CSRF and put in turnstile. That makes it more cacheable. I talk about that in fast Laravel. But let's take a minute and make this CF cache status hit instead of dynamic. So let me check. Let's check where we are with the static routes. Do I even have any of that built in here yet? I might need to run some stuff here. Okay, it doesn't look like, I could have sworn I ran fast Laravel on this already. It doesn't look like I have. So let's go out to laravelshift.com. laravelshift.com. All right, let's sign in. Boop. Let's get rid of these other calculators. I feel like their JavaScript on the page is like super, super heavy. Okay, so I did run fast Laravel. That was my other little stupid project. Where is fast Laravel? There you are. Run. It's free. All right, what is this called? Retrajectory. Retrajectory.com. Oh, we need, of course, Jason McCreary. That's me, and I'm pretty sure it's all the main branch. Yeah. Okay, it's free, so let's run it. Yep, run it. All right, let's let this run. Should be quite quick. Issue. Retrajectory.com. Okay. Did I not get the name right? Retrajectory. Let's see. It is main. What's wrong with you? Retrajectory, main. Well, let's get into the server and see why it broke. What was that? 175,727. 175,727. I have not I've not seen that error before. It's something with GitHub. I wonder if GitHub's having a micro outage. They seem to have a lot lately. I'll try to run it one more time. PHP artists, or well, we just rerun it from here. Let's give it one more shot. I don't want to have to do this manually. Failed. I did choose. Did I like not get my, where's GitHub? There's GitHub. Refresh. There needs to be like a little status indicator on that page. All right, let's go back here. Artisan shift run. It's always something. Always something. Okay, well, I guess the refresh worked. There you go. I guess my token somehow got invalidated. Yeah, strange. Anyway, okay, let's pull this down. Let's pull this down and get it right. Git checkout that. Git fetch that. Oh my goodness, debugger. Just relax. We're working here. I'll just nah those for now. There we go. All right, let's get this right now. Okay, so what this does is it adds, there we go, a static routes. And as you can see here, the view is just already going straight to a view for the homepage. So we can very simply just take that, throw it into the static routes, and there you go. That's going to be static. So what this does, again, I talk about this in the course, blog posts, there's all sorts of stuff out there. But just at a high level, basically this static routes is a separate group of middleware, much like API, that is stateless. But it puts middleware on to add the appropriate cache headers based on your request. So all that got added by this fast Laravel shift, which again, it's free. It basically auto implements the stuff that the course covers like initially, so you can just like get right into like customizing stuff for your application. So again, it sets these cache control headers appropriately and all that kind of stuff. So the course goes in much more detail, but for now, here's this. So I don't know if I'm gonna need to clear the cache program. It's such a small site, I would only ever clear the home page. I'm gonna just go ahead and remove, or I'm gonna revert, I'm gonna revert this. Git, or well, hold on. Git commit -m, let's say cache homepage, and then let's do a git revert on that. All right, I don't think we need that. And let's get push that up. So this should lessen the files changed pretty significantly, I would think. Well, by 1, yeah. Okay, cool. So it's just web routes app, again, where we register the new middleware groups with the new middleware. Nothing to the composer JSON and all that stuff, because I don't need that package right now, because I would only ever clear the home page. I'm not caching anything beyond that, and I can just do that in the UI. I'm going to trust that those pass. Let's squash merge. Whoops. Let's squash merge this. So it really should just be a squash merge and a push. And I think we might need to get into Cloudflare and enable some caching options, but that's no problem. Okay, let me pull this down and redeploy from this machine. So git pull deploy script. All right, let's go back here. All right. Oh, sorry, there's some stuff in the chat. Okay, let's see here. Jeffrey, where to find cheaper wood for your woodworking master skills? Yes. Yeah, I make jokes, but like, yeah, I think that's the thing with like getting older and tech and stuff. I think, you know, with Shift potentially being on the decline, like there's definitely still some time left for Shift, but like, I think as I get older and as I'm more out of the game, like I'm never not going to use tech, right? I'll always be a programmer at heart. But yes, like, as you can see, I'm starting to kind of use programming to build things in other areas of my interest. So woodworking, like you said, like if I ran a woodworking shop, I would totally build like the inventory system myself. You know what I mean? I would build like the ordering and inventory and order tracking and processing and all that stuff like myself. Kind of like this retirement tool I built myself because investing is another hobby. So yeah, I'm always going to use tech, whether or not like, you know, Shift is around or, you know, I'm speaking at Laracons or whatever, like, yeah, tech's always going to be in there. Hey, why do you choose tall stack over inertia? Again, that kind of goes back to probably what I'm saying. Kind of goes back to probably what I'm saying as far as like, I'm kind of an OG Laravel developer. Like a lot of these things didn't exist when I first started writing Laravel. And so honestly, probably until 2 or 3 years ago, I was still just using like Blade, like directly. No page refreshing whatsoever. Livewire kind of came before inertia, I think. So that's probably honestly the simple reason why I adopted it, and because it was kind of already Blade. So the transition was like much easier for me. I never got into Vue or anything, even though that was around much earlier. I just never adopted that. But when I started to see the need for some reactivity, and again, since I was using Blade all that time, Livewire was just a little bit easier of a choice for me in that regard. I think if I were a brand new developer, I would probably use something else, in fairness. Nothing against Livewire, but that might not be as obvious of a choice, I guess is what I'm saying. For me, it was an obvious choice at the time, coming directly from Blade. Okay, we need to clear the cache for this, which I think that's done on deploy, but let's just do it. So let me clear the cache because the routes are cached and we move the routes from web to static. So that should fix that. Let's make sure the site's still working. So that's all done. We did hit refresh, great. Let's go back to inspect. Let's refresh. So still dynamic. What is this normal lang? What is this? Oh my God, whatever this debugger is making me mad. Okay, yeah, okay, so that's the turnstile challenge. Okay, so we are still dynamic here, and basically what that means, notice now that we're not replying with, I don't have the old one, unfortunately, I cleared it out, but we no longer are passing back the cookies. So that's proof that our static middleware is working. I think now the issue is we need to get in Cloudflare and enable and caching and put some cache rules in place. So let me do that. Actually, I also want to generate the WAF rules. Yeah, let's get into Cloudflare and do some stuff. We'll get this hit, but I'm also going to do some other stuff. So I think we'll finish out with this being a little bit of a fast Laravel crash course, if you will. So let's get out to Cloudflare. Cloudflare. Hello. I don't think I'm going to get auto logged in. Maybe, no. Okay, let me go full screen me so we can attempt not to leak a bunch of crap. Is that full screen me? Nope, that's screen only. Okay, I don't know which hotkey is full screen me, so there you go. Full screen me. Hello, everyone. Let's log in. Let's log in and get to the appropriate place. If you have anything I appreciate everybody watching. Again, this is not like super tech related as far as the side project, but if you have any questions about the underlying tech, the tall stack, whatever, like Cuban did, feel free to throw those in the chat. I'm glad to get deeper and look at the code or kind of explore anything that you want to look at. Otherwise, this is the side project and it is launched. I should upload a screenshot. I'll go back and upload a screenshot just to make sure that like the AI and stuff is working. Sorry, let me finish getting logged in here first. Okay, domains, recent, retrajectory. There we go, retrajectory.com. Welcome to the new DNS experience. Okay, Cloudflare, thanks a lot. Cache rules. Okay. I think we're in the right place. Hopefully no leaks, no whammies, no whammies. Here we go. Back to screen and me. Kaboom. All right, so I'm in Cloudflare for retrajectory.com, the new bit here. And let's create a rule. We can do it from template. We are gonna do the cache everything rule. All incoming requests are cool. They're eligible for cache. There are a few things I want to change here. So yes, we want to do that. That's totally fine. Browser TTL, I want to respect origin TTL. No cache keys. I think that's actually enterprise anyway. And I want to respect strong E tags actually. Origin error pass-through. I think use origin error pass-through. When enabled, HTTP error pages will be issued from the origin server instead of Cloudflare. I remember something about this in the course. I think you want to leave it off by default. There are some options. I guess, let me take a step back. There are some options here which you may want to enable, and I do cover them in more detail in the course. But basically, this serve stale content while revalidating and this origin pass-through have like some interesting implications where Cloudflare could actually still serve cached pages even though it can't reach your origin web server. So for something like a landing page, which again is static and not very dynamic in my case, it would appear as though the site was never down. Right? If you get the right combination of these options here. So again, I'm going to leave these as is. I talk about those in the course, but you may want to consider those, for those reasons. Right now, I think if the origin server is down, then you're going to get the cache page until it needs to revalidate. Again, I'm not turning those things on. So let's deploy this. I think this should get us in the right place. And then what I want to do is generate that WAF rule. So it's eligible for cache. It's going to respect the browser TTL and the edge cache TTL and respect strong E tags. So if we go back here now, and I go back here, we should see now that oh God, well, it must be Turnstile that's like cranking that out. All right, so let's hit refresh. We got a cache miss now, but it attempted to cache it. So now, when we refresh after the annoying bit, notice now that we get the 304 and we've got a cache hit. Wonderful, that's what we want. And we can see this CF Ray that it's coming out of ATL, Atlanta. So notice here, 27 milliseconds for it to round trip to Cloudflare basically on a 304. Now if I just go back and navigate the site normally, we should be getting 200 disk caches, yes. Because in this case, it sees that it's a hit and it's gonna pull that down from the local cache, which I'm okay with, right? That's that option that I checked for this browser TTL. In fairness, I think in most cases you would actually probably wanna not check that. Specify how long browsers should cache. Cloudflare cache purge will not purge content cached on client's browsers, so high browser TTLs can lead to stale content. Yes, I know. Override origin and use this. I think we do want to respect origin TTL. I am caching with the browser locally. I'm okay with that. Again, let's take a step back and talk about this page. There is nothing dynamic on this page. It is truly a static landing page. I've disabled CSRF in this forum. I talk about why in a Laravel News blog post, but also again the Fast Laravel course. There's nothing on this page that requires any kind of like Laravel whatever. This could theoretically just be a static HTML page that when you click run the numbers, then it submits to your Laravel application. And that's effectively what we're doing. That's a really good kind of parallel. That's kind of what we're doing here. This is technically an index.html page that is now cached with Cloudflare and your browser effectively forever. Now the and your browser part, you might not be comfortable with that. For every site, for every landing page, you might only want to cache it with Cloudflare. But the point here is that we're seeing kind of these incredibly fast response times because it can come from disk cache, meaning the browser, right? Or even when I hard refresh, you're still gonna get a 304 because it hasn't changed in Cloudflare's cache. So we kind of get this onion, we're peeling back the onion layers, right? Okay, if the browser cache doesn't have it, try Cloudflare. If Cloudflare doesn't have it, then try the origin, which of course you could cache there as well with Nginx or even the caches internal to your application. So again, an onion or a Russian doll, whatever you've heard, that's kind of this like tiered caching approach that we're doing. And because of that, we're kind of always falling back to like very, very fast response times. So I can just sit here and like refresh this page a million times and we see that as fast as I'm clicking, like it's showing up and just giving us, tons and tons of hits, right? So yeah, 304, 304, 304, every single time. And that's, again, because I'm refreshing my browser's cache, it's not hitting that. If I navigated normally by clicking around as a normal user would, we see instead disk cache, disk cache, disk cache, disk cache, because it's navigating in the browser. I'm not hard refreshing it with Command R. So cool, so good. So that's caching the way we want. The next thing I want to do is I want to get rid of all like the cruft. And cruft, I mean like basically the second I launched this site, bots are out there trying to get in the the Livewire endpoints and trying to hit all these other things. So with a WAF rule, we can actually make sure that only the requests that we expect for our application are going to get served down to origin. And so it reduces a crap load of traffic. We can fix that. Let's go back to main. So I don't need to deploy anything here, but what I actually will need to do to help is to go back and reinstall that package. So we can just do that locally real quick. So composer install --dev Next AI, I think it's like Laravel CF cache, I think, question mark? Nope, let's go find it. Yeah, there it is. I think the actual package name is something a little bit different. What did I misspell there? Oh, composer require, duh. I did composer install, so I had the package name right. Anyway. Here's what we want. We want to generate this WAF rule. So once that installs, we can run this. This will output a WAF rule that we can then go and put directly into Cloudflare. And I'll talk a little bit about what it is once we see like some actual results here. So let's do this. There we go, awesome. And we'll kind of I'm gonna take this and we'll kind of review it in Cloudflare. So let's go back to Cloudflare. And let's storage. Let's go to security rules. Let's create a new rule. I think this is custom rule. So this is WAF. Allowed paths. That's what I call these. All right, so allowed paths, and then I think I can edit expression directly. There we go, great. Okay, so let's kind of review this for a second. Okay, so if you are not requesting the home page, we can drop boost. That's a local thing. We'll leave the Apple Touch icon. Broadcasting off. I am using broadcasting, but I shouldn't need... Nothing's off. It's just the public channel. I'm going to drop this for now, but Laravel may still call off and always return true for broadcasting. I'm not sure. We're going to find out. Okay, so we've got the fav icons, Livewire stuff. I don't know if I need CSP min, but I'm going to leave it. Livewire min, Livewire update, Livewire file upload, robots, Stripe webhook I don't need. Trajectory is the endpoint, and then up for my health check. And then wildcard, we have build. So all of my build assets, chat, any chat asset, horizon, fine, that's already blocked by IP address. And then we have the wildcard stuff for Livewire preview file. It's going to need that. I do upload files. We got this order stuff. That makes sense. And then storage, and then wildcard Stripe payment. What's the wildcard Stripe payment? I don't know if I'm pulling anything from storage either. Why would Stripe payment star be there? That might be a cashier endpoint. Let's go find out. PHP artisan route list. See, you got to remember I'm running this in dev, so I'm getting some things that probably... Okay, the Stripe, okay, here it is. Yeah, the Stripe payment, the storage path stuff is automatic from Laravel, again, because of the local disk, but I'm not actually using that, nor am I giving preview links as far as like linking the public path. So you'll never see your upload beyond what Livewire shows you in the preview file, and I've left that. I don't think I need these storage and payment things. I'm pretty sure this Stripe payment thing is based on if you try to make a payment on your site and it has like a 3D challenge, and then it redirects you to this payment controller show. And then again, I don't have any webhooks because I'm kicking you off to Stripe's billing portal or Stripe's checkout portal, and then you get redirected back. So I don't think any of these are needed. So as I continue to test the site, obviously if I get some like Cloudflare blocked page, right, because that's the next thing we're going to do, we're going to block, we'll deploy that. So I'll kind of review this here in a second, but let's first make sure it all still works. So I can hit refresh here, I get the stupid debugger, fine. And then let's just put in that data again. So let's just say like 250K, we're trying to get to 5 milli, and we put in 25,000 a year, run numbers. Do we still get redirected? Okay, good. So we didn't get blocked anywhere along this current path, which I'm happy with. So again, what this is allowing us to do is kind of just limit the overall number of requests to the server, because we're basically saying like anything that's not one of our app paths, just block it, right? So again, less requests to the server means more is cache, means less server workload, la 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 la. It's all very good. So that's kind of the last thing I want to do there from like a fast Laravel crash course. Let's see. We might upload an image here in a second. I'll come back to that. Let's check the chat. Okay, Cuban. Hey, why do you use... Okay, I already answered that. Are you using Prism for the agents? And generally, how do you like to define and implement an agent? All right. let's see here. Am I using Prism for the agents? I thought Prism was like the Prism was like that image generation engine. Am I crazy? I'm using the Laravel AI SDK for the agents. We can go back and take a look at them. So underneath app, AI, and then like analyze screenshot, for example. So yeah, these are out of the box from the Laravel AI SDK, I keep saying that. So again, I'm using Anthropic with a recent Claude model. I don't need like the latest greatest for just OCR. This is pretty standard OCR. I was actually gonna use OpenAI because I think they're slightly cheaper. But basically this was like, this averaged out to like 0.003 cents, you know, or $0.003, so a fraction of a penny per like, you know, OCR screenshot like review to kind of pull their portfolio information out or their position information out. And again, this is just kind of getting a schema, so I have some JSON response that's easier to work with, not only within my own application, but then to pass to the next agent. So both are using the Laravel AI SDK for the agents. Both are using Anthropic as their models set up here. I think the assessment does use a more modern model or a more recent model. And it too returns a schema because again, it's easier to kind of work with. So I think, yeah, I mean, I as far as like generally how do I like them? I like it fine. I think the only thing that was a little bit awkward was like the instructions versus the prompt. I mean, it makes sense. So this is kind of like your, in my mind, this is kind of like your quote unquote skill. So writing it here, you know, you got to use like a here doc, or I guess I could go put it all in like a markdown file and then read the file in. You know, some of that was a little bit awkward, but again, I think this thing's like in version 0.3, so clearly they're still kind of refining how that looks. And I basically just let Claude, since I'm using Anthropic, I let Anthropic, aka Claude, generate kind of all this for me. Not only the instruction prompt, but also kind of what that schema should look like based on what I was trying to display. So hopefully that kind of answers your questions, Mary. Thanks for joining. Okay, what else can we do here? I think we can go ahead and upload. Let's do this. Let's go back. So I have like it's not a retirement account. My daughter's 5 years old. I have a college account, like a college savings account in the US. Those are called 529 plans. What I could do is use her 529 plan as an example of a retirement portfolio. And this is actually where the project gets a little bit, yeah, look at that back. It was like instant, right? Because it just loaded from the browser. I would just have to figure out, so my daughter's 5. When she's 18, we would want to probably start using the college fund. So let's use her portfolio as an example here to see like some real world stuff. The only like nuance here is we're going to pretend if she wants to retire at 65, I think is the US kind of still standard, or is it 67? I don't know. The point is, let's back off 13 years and pretend, right, that's where she is. So I'm going to say 50. I'm going to say my daughter's 52 because we're modeling this for retirement. So just to get the numbers right, that in 13 years, she will be 18, she will be going to college. But for the systems thing, we'll kind of trick it here and say that. So her current 529 plan, I think, is like 50K, I think. Oh, I did something weird. Oh no. What's going on here? I think my camera, there we go. Chose the different camera there. I think I was punching numbers into Ecamm Live instead of on the website. Okay, hopefully y'all can still hear me and see me okay. I don't know what I just typed there. I just typed 50,000 into the Ecamm thing. I don't know what the target would be. How much does freaking college cost these days? Jesus. Let's just say $300,000. I mean, unless she goes to Harvard or something, I feel like that should cover it. I don't know though. 15 years from now, I feel like we better bump that up. College is probably like $500,000. Annual retirement contributions. We're not really putting too much to it anymore, but I'm just gonna say for giggles 1,000 here. So let's run the numbers. Okay, so she would need, based on what we said, she would need aggressive growth, just looking at this. So let's see what it says. Based on your current trajectory, none of these scenarios get you to 500,000 target by age 69. Now, again, we're faking her numbers, but the point is 13 years from now. You'd need roughly 13.8 cents returns, or alternatively increase your contributions to $6,000 to reach this with moderate moderate returns. So yeah, so again, cool modeling like right away, but what I'd like to do is go ahead and analyze her positions to see the second portion of this with AI. So I think to do that, let me go full screen me again. It's gonna leak. We've already plugged in numbers here on a high level, so it's gonna leak a little bit of information, but let me not leak like the actual screenshot. And plus I'll need to pay. That'll check the payment flow too. So let's do that. Let me go full screen me again. Again, feel free to throw some stuff in chat while I'm doing this. So basically I'm gonna upload, oh, I just got blocked by something. Okay. Uh-oh. All right, so we need to figure out, there's some Livewire thing that just got blocked. Let me refresh, inspect. We need to fix that. So let's go to all, let me click analyze. Okay, so somehow Livewire, oh, I see. Okay, let me go back to sharing my screen again so you all can see this too. Okay, so Livewire, the Livewire update got blocked. Here's why. Production and dev, this endpoint is new in Livewire 4 to make it app specific, and it's based on a portion of your app key. So in production, my app key is different than development, which we generated the WAF rules on. So I need to rotate that and make sure that my WAF rule actually supports that. So again, we're getting this block, just so you can see, we're getting this Cloudflare blocked page because that endpoint update that Livewire is now trying to call is not getting hit. So a couple things I need to do off screen here to try not to leak some of this stuff. So let's go back to just me. So first, let me get in the WAF rule, and I'm gonna edit that key, or edit that bit. So let me read. You can actually set this too, I think, in the Livewire configuration, like to be something. So it's not even based on your key, so it's even like more abstract. But yeah, let me go ahead and just for now, I'll rotate all this stuff post stream. But let me just repaste this into all the appropriate spots. Save. Excuse me. All right, let's go back to the bit, analyze position. Okay, cool. It allows me to, should allow me to do an upload. Let's make sure this is right. That is not right. Crap. Okay, I got to go out to, let me go out. Okay, but it is loading the file upload now, so that's good. Let me go out to her. Let's go out to her portfolio. And let's take the screenshot we need. The goal of the screenshot's like convenient. I figured like everybody can have access to that stuff, so I feel like that's relatively convenient for people. And again, it prevents you from having to like enter all the information that's needed, which is kind of a lot. If you have a lot of positions, I think most people in their like 401ks would not have a lot of positions. Oh crap, that might That might have screenshotted part of the live stream. There we go. All right, so we took a screenshot of that. Let me close that down so we don't want to leak any of that. So let's make sure upload works. Okay, so let's hit analyze. All right, so now it's analyzing the screenshot. Okay, something's broken there. Something is broken. So I uploaded the screenshot and it says analyzing a screenshot, and then it refreshed the page, but it gave me the previous step. So let me go back to me. Let's go back to sharing. So it's saying analyzing screenshot, but when it auto refreshed itself, it was the wrong information. So what that means to me is that the queue is either not running, which is very possible, or there might be something wrong with, there could be something wrong with pusher. It seemed to attempt to update, so let's backtrace this a little bit. Maybe we won't get all the way to the other stuff, but let's go out to SSH web, and let's go to retrajectory. Let's go to PHP Artisan Tinker. And let's go to chat. Which chat is she? Let's chat find this one. So chat find. Okay, the screenshot was uploaded. All right, the screenshot was uploaded. Let's get into Horizon. Why are you blocked? We definitely said Horizon. All right, let's fix that. Could have sworn we said Horizon. Oh, we said Horizon Star. Okay, you actually need, I think you probably actually need Horizon as well. So let's put in /Horizon here and see if that solves the problem. I'll have to fix that in that package that if it sees Horizon. Just kidding. There we go. Okay, pending jobs, no pending jobs, completed jobs. Okay, so the analysis did fail. I wonder why. Failed jobs. I don't know what we'll get when we'll click into here. Did we get anything on analysis failed? No. Okay, so on analysis failed, we probably need to bubble up like the message, because the problem is it's getting caught. It's getting caught, so now I have no clue what the error was of why this failed, the screenshot failed. But it did run. It failed. So that's the broken path. I probably don't have the failure paths in the UI when you upload that. But it did analyze it in half a second. It just didn't seem to get the results we wanted. So I'll have to go look at that. It's in production. We launched it, but it's broken. Sorry about that. Okay. Yeah, all right. So I think I'll figure that out off stream, because the potential for me to like leak something is very, very high in that regard. We don't need anything here anymore, so I'm gonna nav that out. Let's get pull back here so we get all the fast Laravel stuff. Let's go back to the retrajectory home. And again, it might have failed. Maybe there was something related to the fact that some things got blocked. I really want to know what is triggering this all the time. It's got to be this challenge, their turnstile stuff. Anyway, if we go to docs and get rid of all that, let's clear this out, hit that again. So again, we can see we're cached, we're discached, all that's good. So I think we achieved mostly what we wanted to achieve. This is launched. You can actually get your modeling of your trajectories like right away. It does seem to be firing on the queue, which is good. So my guess is maybe I need some production. Anthropic keys probably is my guess. Oh, no. I know what it is. I know what it is. I was running everything locally before. The screenshot is not available. The screenshot's not available on the queue worker. Crap. I'm gonna have to share that. I'm gonna have to share that with the queue worker somehow. I think in production, I think my file system driver is gonna need to be S3. I was running everything local, and so it could just read directly from the storage folder on the same quote-unquote server, but now that it's distributed across Shift's infrastructure, it didn't have access to the file. So a couple bugs here. Need to tweak configuration for production to make sure it's in S3. So again, I'm not going to go log into AWS and get all my keys and all that crap on stream. That's the problem. That's an easy fix. And then 2, it looks like my failure paths need a little bit of UI. Hopefully you'll never see those, but that's what's going on. That's what's going on. I bet you if I fixed the logs there on the error, it would have said like, don't have the screenshot or some crap like that. I'm here in the chat. Let me see what people are saying in the chat, and then we'll close it up. Okay. Hey, I'm a junior developer with only 2 years of experience. Like to ask you a question. I work with other developers who have 7 years of experience. Difficult for me to keep up with their pace. What would you recommend I do? It's a good question. I would see, honestly, I would see if you can pair with them. See, it's going to take time, right? It's going to take time. This is a great question, unrelated to the side project, but generally I'll give you an answer. I would do 2 things. 1, be patient. Okay, they have 9 years ahead of you. Imagine where you will be in 9 years if you keep it up, right? So, it's difficult when someone's farther down the road than you. There's no shortcuts necessarily. I think. I shouldn't say there's no shortcuts. There are no shortcuts, but I think you can speed up the process. I know that sounds like a shortcut, but I think shortcut for me implies like there's some silver bullet to get there. And I don't think there's a silver magic bullet or special path. But I do think you can kind of like go at a faster pace. And I think you do that through pairing. So if that's allowed where you work or if they're open to it, pair with them for an hour, see how they build, see how they develop, and go from there. And then, the other thing I would say is, definitely stay hungry, like yourself, explore things. If something was slow at work or you weren't getting something, like do your own little retros, right? A lot of this stuff comes from like extreme programming, honestly, like the pairing, the retros, adopt as many like practices from that as you can. The pairing will level anybody up on anything. So if you see them using something new that you're not aware of, ask if you can sit with them, for 30 minutes or whatever, or share screen if you're remote. There's easy ways to do that. It's kind of just up to them if they allow that. And then I would say the other thing is like assess where you are. A lot of people don't reflect. I think you need to assess where you are every now and then. If something took you a bit, go home and do more research. If something worked really well, think about why that worked. Put it into your toolbox. But yeah, at the end of the day, it's going to take time. Like you're not going to make up 9 years of experience in a year necessarily. I think you might be able to make two years in a year, especially with AI, augmentation and whatever. But like, yeah. Anyway, all right. Hey, Mateus, how's it going? Thanks for joining live. Thanks everybody else for joining live. Like I said, I'm gonna go clean these up. Oh my God, there's another debugger pop. I don't know. Cloudflare, get your crap together. So yeah, I'm gonna go change the driver to S3, get all that lined up. I'll go back in and double check it. One thing I will note on this, we didn't see it here, but there actually is an A/B path for this as I'm kind of testing out the system. So again, let me just put in some random numbers just to kind of maybe luck of the draw, see that here. So the current balance is that. Let's say we're trying to get to, you know, I don't even know if that's 1 million or 10 million. Doesn't matter. We're just pressing numbers here. And let's see here. No, so the point here is that this upsell is A/B pathed. So if you go and use this, of course, right now it's not going to work because I got to fix the driver. But if you were to go and use this later today or tomorrow, don't be surprised if every now and then that is a paywall potentially. So I'm trying out the different paths. All of the AI stuff here does cost even just a fraction of a cent. So obviously if I let that run like forever, I'm just going to be paying money for this site. So this is sometimes paywalled to kind of hedge that bet. So I'm kind of figuring out which paths work. So the point is that while you will always see this kind of upper portion and this summary, yeah, look, 10 million out of 10,000. No way. Even Warren Buffett can't. So yeah, anyway, the point here is that you're always going to get this top part, but don't be surprised if your call to action is different if you're watching the stream and go try it on your own later. So, and that kind of deals with that feature flagging, that A/B path testing that's happening there. So, and I didn't use Pendant for that. I know there is Laravel Pendant, great package, but this is only like one very small spot, and I called Yagni. You know me, Yagni. Didn't need all that. I just put a flag in the database for what path you got assigned when the chat's created. So I did use the lottery facade though. That thing was kind of cool. Anyway, thanks everybody for joining live. Good little journey here. Hopefully I didn't leak too much. And yeah, if you're into retirement and you want to check your portfolio with a little AI assist, AI assessment, I think there's really, really cool information that's educational in the review here. Maybe I'll show it briefly in a future stream since we didn't get that far today, but check it out. Thanks everybody. See you next week.